For the last 30 days, I have embarked on a quest to journal every single day. And this has been an interesting ride, to say the least. Now, I'll start by saying I'm not exactly new to journaling, necessarily. I always write. I write every single day. I always have ever since I've been a kid. But I think I've never journaled in the sense of collecting all of the thoughts and ideas in one book. Let me explain. So normally when I would journal, especially starting out as a kid, I would just write out my feelings and my thoughts, and it would kind of help me dissect and understand things that I'm feeling a little bit more. And then after I wrote everything out, I would rip up the paper and toss it away. I did this since, I guess my earliest memory is about middle school up until probably my mid-20s. So for a very long time, whenever I would find the need to write something out or, hash out my feelings in some kind of way, I would write them down and then read it over and then throw it away. Because, after I figured everything out, I don't really need it. It wasn't anything I wanted to collect and reflect on later. Since that time, I have entertained the idea of keeping an actual journal, but I've only pulled it out maybe a couple times a year, and then even in those instances, I would actually forget that I actually had this one notebook that I was dedicating to journaling, and I would just write it down in another notebook because I'm a stationery junkie, so I have a million notebooks just lying around the house. That all changed about a year ago. Throughout the course of 2020, I just felt the need or the desire to pull out a pen, a piece of paper, and kind of write through my thoughts a lot more often. I know you know what happened in 2020. We all went through some major life adjustments. So I'm pretty sure that was the impetus for starting all of this in the first place. But what I realized after writing down things a lot more often was that it was extremely therapeutic for me, and it was something I really, really enjoyed. So that's when I decided to start putting all of these thoughts and ideas into one main collection or journal or book, so that if I ever wanted to reflect on it, because those times and feelings were definitely, I think, times and feelings that I would like to look back on to see where was I? Where was my headspace? What was going on in life? It might be nice to look back on. So that's when I felt the desire to put it into an actual journal form. And as I said, I am definitely a stationery junkie. So at the beginning of 2021, I went through a phase. I'm still in this phase, but I went through a phase where I bought and tried out a few different planners, a few different stationery items and planner type things to see what I would like to use for myself for the year. When I did that, I actually purchased a traveler's notebook, which I've never used before. And I actually have mine right here. So I purchased a traveler's notebook. I've never used one before. I was fascinated by the idea of having multiple notebooks inside a notebook or inside a cover. So that was the enticing part of it for me. So I bought it at the beginning of the year. I want to say February or so, but I didn't really have a purpose for it. I didn't have a designated need for it, which is not unlike Kim. I just buy stationery items and I leave them hanging around until I'm going to use it. So I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to use it for. So I knew that I wanted to start journaling, and I figured, well, hey, I might as well use this. The traveler's notebook is not getting used for anything else. So this is where I'll keep all of my thoughts gathered together so that I can reflect on them whenever I need to. And this system is actually working extremely well for me because I do have, like I said, a few different notebooks inside of this one cover. I'm only currently using one of the notebooks in here, but I had the idea that if I wanted to maybe split up my ideas or my thoughts or my musings, into different categories, I could do that inside the notebook. As I've been doing this for a while, 30 days, obviously, as I've been doing it, I've actually decided not to do it that way, but I could change my mind, and I'll actually do a flip of this traveler's notebook coming up. If you'd like to see it, leave a comment down below, give me a thumbs up or something, but I'll probably do a flip to show you everything that I do have in here besides my journal. So as I started journaling more often in the traveler's notebook, I thought it might be a good idea to challenge myself to do this every single day. Usually I would be more of a mood journaler, and then I found myself being in the mood a lot more often. I just wanted to pick up a pen and a piece of paper and just start writing. I had no idea a lot of the times what I wanted to write about exactly. It kind of just came to me as I would start writing, but that's just something that I started feeling like I wanted to do. So I wanted to challenge myself to try and do it for 30 days straight. And even though it wasn't until February or March that I picked up this notebook, I didn't decide to start this journey until about mid-April. That's when I decided to try and journal every single day. So going from mid-April to mid-May. That is my 30-day journaling challenge. Now, I understand journaling is not for everyone. It really is not, and it doesn't have to be. But like I said, I was really into the idea of being a mood journaler. So whenever the mood struck, I would pick up a pen and start writing. I'm really into pens. So sometimes it would just be me testing out a new pen or just writing for the sake of writing. And I found it to be extremely therapeutic and extremely cathartic for me to hash out feelings and plans and ideas and all those things just on a piece of paper. And another thing that I've come to understand about myself is that I just like to spend time doing the things that I like to do. And that's about it. This is something that I like to do. So it's something I want to invest my time and my energy into because it makes me feel good when I'm finished doing it. Another lesson from 2020. It's something I truly enjoy, and that is writing. I want to specify writing, not typing. It is not the same if I type these ideas out on maybe my phone or something like that. It's absolutely not the same thing if I type it out on a laptop. It has to be a piece of paper and a pen. That's just my vibe, and that's just what works best for me. There are a lot of people who actually do keep digital journals, which I'm not into, but it's a thing. But either way, I think it's very healthy nonetheless. It provides a lot more of a self-introspection type of thinking when you do journal regularly. Teaches you a lot about yourself. Now, with all of that out of the way, let me tell you what I learned on this journey. The first thing I learned, which is no secret at all because I think I said it like 3 times already, is the fact that I love writing. I just solidified the fact that I do really, really enjoy it. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the movement of my hands. Maybe it has something to do with being able to clarify my thoughts or my thinking so that, I can put it out into one stream on a paper, so to speak. So it's not jumbled the way it might be inside my head. I'm pretty sure there are some psychological answers to explain why people might like to actually write or what the physical aspect of writing does for someone. And what I've also already alluded to is that writing or journaling helps me clarify my thoughts. It helps me see things a little more clearly, and it helps me kind of put them into order, especially when I'm prioritizing the things that I want to give my focus or attention to. It helps me put those things into order, align them with maybe my beliefs or my values, and go from there. But it does help to clarify my thoughts, put them in order, help explain to me some things that I'm feeling or things that I'm going through. So it gives me an outside looking in kind of perspective, which is always really good, especially when we're going through things inside our own heads. And something I've learned about myself in this journaling process is that I'm more of a emotions or feelings type of journaler as opposed to a journaler that focuses on events or reflecting on things that actually happened during the day. That's not really what I'm into, though. When I was starting out, sometimes, when I say to myself, I'm going to be journaling for today, and I might not have a thought or anything specific that I want to journal about, I would sit down and I would start reflecting over the day, talking about what happened, whether or not I was happy to have crossed certain things off of my task list for the day, or just, things, if we tried a new thing for dinner for that day. There were reflections that I did put onto paper, and I feel like that helped to open me up a little bit more. So as I was reflecting over the day, I started to then get into maybe some feelings or some thoughts about the day overall. And that's where it kind of was easier for me to begin to journal more about my feelings or emotions at that time. So though I much prefer to journal about feelings or thoughts over specific events, I did find that it could be helpful to reveal certain things about my feelings or thoughts if I started writing out events. And in that, I'm gaining some self-reflection, I'm gaining self-knowledge, I'm gaining self-assurity, I'm gaining, self-affirmations, I'm gaining self-actualization, it's self-affirming, it's all the self things. I'm annoying. It's all the self things. You know, when you start to write down your own thoughts and your own feelings, it teaches you a lot about yourself. And therein, you can learn a lot about how to communicate with other people in your life and how to react and respond to situations that are going on in your life. It makes you less of a reactive kind of person, more proactive, especially when it comes to outside sources. And I would like to talk about why I think this journaling practice or journaling challenge would be good for others. But before I get to that, the last thing that this journaling challenge or this journaling practice has pointed out to me is that I'm excited to continue it. This is something that's me. This is something that fits and it works for my life at the moment. So I'm really excited to continue on this journey. I won't necessarily say that I will always definitely be journaling every single day. At this time, 30 days in, 2 days in, I can say I will probably try to journal every single day if I can. Of course, if it doesn't happen, if life gets in the way, no big deal. And that's absolutely fine. But this is something that I would like to incorporate in my life all the time. And I'm excited to try different avenues of journaling. I'm excited to try some journaling prompts. I've seen these, and I do know that there are some actual books that will guide you and give you a prompt for each day. Maybe like a question about how you're feeling, a question about your greatest accomplishments, questions about certain things that are used as journaling prompts to encourage you to write about them a little bit more. I don't find that those types of resources, at least the ones that I've seen so far, are really for me. But as I've been on this journaling challenge, I have actually come up with prompts of my own. So I have a little sticky note that I have, and I've written out some journaling prompts. And my original idea, my original plan was to refer to these prompts whenever I might not think of anything to write about. So that was my goal, to just refer to these. If ever there was a time where I know that I need to journal on this 30-day process and I just don't have anything to write about, these journaling prompts would help me. Funny thing is, I actually haven't used any of them during this entire 30-day process because as I started journaling every day, it became easier and easier to put my thoughts onto paper. It became easier and easier to direct those thoughts into a particular theme. So it just wasn't a mess of words on a piece of paper. It was actually things that were teaching me a lot about myself and life on that piece of paper. So I haven't needed to start using the journaling prompts as of yet, but I am excited to maybe try that type of journaling in the future. And another thing that stuck out for me about journaling is the idea that these letters to myself and that these reflections that I'm writing down on paper can be passed down. Maybe I'm a little sentimental, but I would think it's kind of cool if my kids actually looked back on my journal and read through things that I think about or things that I've gone through. Like, I feel like you're leaving a legacy for the children behind you or for the people after you. You're leaving a piece of yourself with them. And I think that's a really cool concept. So of course, these are all lessons I've learned about myself, but I'm sure that they can apply to others or maybe motivate you to give this a shot. Maybe you'll want to do it for 30 days. Maybe just start with a week and see how things go from there. I lost a bit of audio when I was filming these sections showing my actual journal, so I'm just going to include them as B-roll. And I wanted to add that I do find the act of setting up the journal or decorating the journal to be very therapeutic as well. It helps to tap into my creative side and it gives me an outlet for that, but also it makes the pages pretty. But at the same time, I don't do this for every single journal spread. I have pages where there's no decor, no decoration or anything. It's just something I like to fit in when and if I have the time. Okay, so now getting into my tips about how this journaling challenge can help other people. Like I said, it teaches you a lot about yourself. You might think you know it all, but I challenge you to try this and to really practice taking your thoughts from here and putting them onto a piece of paper. It helps to clarify those thoughts. It helps to take out the cloudiness, the uncertainty, the confusion that sometimes you might not have even realized was there. And I would recommend it to everyone. With that said, I will say that all types of journaling is not for all types of people. Whereas I like to write out my thoughts and my feelings, other people could easily type them out. I know there's a such thing as having an audio journal where you just kind of speak to yourself and maybe you play it back, maybe like a voice memo on your phone. There are different types of journaling for different types of people. Also, I'd like to point out, it can't be a pressure type of thing. You can't put so much pressure on yourself feeling like I have to journal about something today. No, you don't. You don't have to journal. Doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can use like a one subject notebook from Walmart if you needed to, and to just journal out and write out your thoughts. And with that said, the same way I explained I used to journal in my younger years is I would write things down on a piece of paper, rip it up, and throw it in the trash because it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was just a practice or something I needed to use as a tool to get my thoughts together or to understand my feelings and my thoughts a little bit better. So that could be a way or a tool that someone else can use, but it still is a form of journaling that I would suggest for everyone. So the biggest takeaway is to figure out what's going to work best for you. And you can go through 6 different types of journaling processes before you reach the one that is perfect for you. Or maybe you find that it's not exactly perfect for you. And it's not something you want to do every single day, but maybe it's something you know you can have in your artillery of tools if you need them, if you're going through a stressful time or a stressful situation. It's almost like self-therapy, though it's probably good to see an actual therapist also. But it's a form of therapy, I would say. And another idea I had was to actually start a journal that was kind of like a burn book. I don't know if you know from, what's the movie with Lindsay Lohan? Mean Girls. Yes, you can start like a burn book kind of journal. Maybe you're writing about the people that you hate. I don't like to use the word hate, but the people that bother you the most, the things that bother you the most, and how you can't stand them, and you're hashing out all of these ideas. I mean, I don't think that would work for me because, I don't like to reflect on negativity, but it could work for someone who is maybe very high stress or someone who is tormented by these kinds of feelings or this kind of, extreme emotion, to get it out on a piece of paper. Now, maybe those are especially the types of pieces of paper that you want to throw away. Maybe you need to hide this away and make sure that no one ever sees it, especially your kids. But that's a different form of a journal that could be very helpful as well. Tell me, would you try this journaling challenge? Maybe for 30 days, maybe for 15 days, maybe for 7 days. Is it something that you think you would be interested in? Something you think maybe you benefit from? Would it really be a challenge for you? Is it something you already do? Let me know down in the comments how you feel about this type of daily journaling practice. And I really want to be more active on Instagram. I always promise myself that I will, and I really want to. So I think I may start sharing some of my journaling spreads or ideas on Instagram. So you can absolutely tag me as well if you share any of your journaling ideas or pictures or whatever else on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so you can come back and hang out with me in my future videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.